And 4 years ago today, this was the scene as rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol building. President-elect Trump continues to insist the 2020 election was stolen and that January 6, 2021 was, quote, a day of love. He's also promised to pardon many of the 1,200 insurrectionists who have already pleaded guilty or were convicted at trial. About 140 officers were assaulted, 4 people in the crowd died, and prosecutors have charged more than 1,500 defendants with crimes tied to the riot. That includes more than 170 people who were accused of using deadly or dangerous weapons like fire extinguishers and bear spray against officers. New CBS polling of more than 2,000 adults out today finds 19% of those responding said they approve of the actions of those who forced their way into the Capitol on January 6th. Let's bring in CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Sganga, who joins us from outside a very snowy U.S. Capitol in Washington. So, Nicole, Capitol Hill heavily secured today. What parameters are in place that weren't 4 years ago? And do you expect this to be something we'll see every 4 years from here on out?
Yeah, Lindsay, good to be with you. And I can tell you I stood in this exact spot 4 years ago along with my crew, Omar and Steve, and it is night and day compared to what it looked like as thousands of rioters descended on Capitol Hill. And we watched it play out right here on Pennsylvania Avenue. This year looks a lot different, not only because it is a winter wonderland here with several inches of snow on the ground, but also because there are hundreds upon hundreds of officers that have been deployed across federal law enforcement, not just U.S. Capitol Police officers, but members of the U.S. Secret Service, National Park Police, Federal Protective Service, all working in coordination with one another in what is called a national special security event. You've heard us, our viewers have heard us use that word a lot today. And, it's important because it unlocks a number of funds and also personnel resources for law enforcement so they can really fan out across the nation's capital. You can see to my left here this 8-foot steel fencing. It's been in place really for days now and will remain here until the inauguration on January 20th. You can see the bike racks next to us as well. So really on lockdown here, quite eerily quiet where I am. Of course, the intelligence posture also looks different. There are, of course, both seen and unseen protective measures stood up here in the nation's capital. And we know that, the intelligence community has also been scanning for any potential threats, no specific or credible threats to the U.S. Capitol during the certification of the electoral count. But we do know that they're on the lookout for any copycat attacks, particularly after the events that played out on New Year's Day in New Orleans and, of course, in Las Vegas.
Nicole, looking ahead, what can you tell us about the measures that will be in place from now through Inauguration Day, January 20th?
Yeah, over the next 15 days, we will see 3 of those national special security events. Today, January 6th, in a couple of days during former President Jimmy Carter's funeral, and then again during the inauguration. But in the meantime, those officers will be deployed really around Washington, D.C. There will be thousands of National Guard on standby to be deployed in the case of any unrest. In addition to that, the winter weather also making this week a bit more challenging. At this point, no, schedule changes for the funeral procession of the former president, but we could see potentially some adjustments made to the funeral procession, a motorcade route. We know the Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Capitol Police working on standing up heating and warming stations, medical tents for, anyone who wants to watch the services, any spectators or any participants to ensure that they're safe and well. In addition to that, oftentimes with these big high-profile events, we see snow plows that are parked blocking traffic that sort of work as, security bollards here in the nation's capital. Of course, with the snow plows, busy working today, clearing the roads. They're going to have to put some contingency measures in place. Real quick, Lindsay, looking ahead to Mardi Gras down in New Orleans, we did just learn that there is federal assistance on the way to New Orleans after a request by the mayor there. There will be federal agents deployed to help secure that event as well.
We appreciate that bit of news. Nicole Sganga, thank you to you and your crew.